Welcome to Aquaremote tutorial number 5, protection screens. This tutorial is based around each of the protection screens for both the PC version and the mobile version. We'll focus on pressure protection and feedback, temperature protection and feedback, flow protection and feedback, and current protection and feedback. So here we have one of our clients again. Let's have a look at the same pump set as the previous tutorials. And on the top here again you will see that we have a screen which is called protection. And down the side we have pressure protection, current protection, flow protection and temperature protection. Looking at the pressure protection screen, there's an enable disable function. So that means that if it's enabled or on via the toggle, this protection parameter will be active. So then therefore the thresholds that are applied and the timers that are applied will be active, and the system will work accordingly to those. So you have a low pressure set point and a high pressure set point. Ability to manipulate and change this to what you want. There's a primary low pressure bypass on startup, so basically the pressure system will allow the pump to run under a particular pressure for a certain period of time. As is the same for high pressure, it will allow the system to run over pressure for a certain period of time. And then there is a secondary low pressure bypass timer. You know, in certain irrigation applications you may need to drop pressure for a period of time if you're changing lines or you have solid set or things similar to that in play. On the feedback dial it would show you what the actual running pressure was. Now that would be corresponding up here in the dashboard as well, so it just shows those. So that's how the pressure functionality works. Current is exactly the same. At the moment you have enable disable current, and it gives you current feedback and the ability to set those thresholds and low and high bypass timers. It's important to note that at this stage inside of the Aquaremote platform, the current protection system is purely a time-based system. In future I guess releases of Aquaremote, we will probably move more to a standardized types B, C and D curve rated system, which falls probably a little bit more in line with what people are used to as far as your standard breakers and so forth. And that way we'll implement some current curve characteristics, so it will work a little bit more based on what you would see in a standard breaker, but just an electronic version of that. So for now, in most instances, it's probably used for feedback rather than the actual protection aspect. But we will, I guess, update this in future releases, as I've mentioned. Again, flow is exactly the same: enable, disable, low flow and high flow, as well as the bypass timers. Currently, there's a low flow bypass and a high flow bypass. We'll add in the next release a secondary low and high flow, just in the instance that some people would like to have two sets of times, and that makes sense. So look out for future releases where those additional time bypasses are included. Just as before, you would get litres per second feedback from the pump set, and it could be used for both monitoring and protection. Again, the temperature protection screen is exactly the same. We only have a high temperature bypass in this instance, has the enable the same, and you can see the constant temperature that the water is at in the pump at the moment. This particular pump is giving us feedback of 15 degrees. This would primarily be used in sort of I guess a no flow situation as a sort of a secondary or third backup, depending on what other features of Aquaremote you have in operation from a protection perspective. But if you do have a no flow feedback situation, this would effectively shut down your pump quite quickly on high temperature. So that's the protection screens inside of the desktop version. Inside of the mobile version it's very similar. The layout's slightly different, but the concepts are exactly the same. So if we went to the same pump set again, you would just access these individually. And again, I mean, the layout's quite good here. You would use this in the field, possibly from the point of view that you would be monitoring and having a look at what your pressure may be and how fine you want to get those thresholds around your running pressure once it's up and going. So, you know, it's a very, very good tool from in the field. You know, traditionally, a lot of these protection systems are set back at the pump set, and there's never any real feedback to the client during operation. So, you know, it's a good addition. It's a solid way to protect your pump, and it provides good feedback. So, okay, so that's the protection system inside of Aquaremote for both mobile and PC devices. The feedback from these parameters go into the reporting system and the live charting system. So if you want to have a look at that side of it, have a look at the next tutorial, which will focus on those particular aspects. Thanks for watching, and please make contact with us if you would like to know more about Aquaremote. Thank you.